Hello, cats and kittens. Orewa Jose, Yoroshku. Welcome you back into the Crisis Corner, where today we're going to be doing a tale of the tape in honor of the upcoming Kong versus Godzilla movie. It was HBO Max, at the end of the month, the 31st?
Yeah, the 31st. Kong versus, excuse me, Godzilla versus
Versus
Kong
Kong.
is the way this one goes this time.
Conspicuously, the king is absent from his name, but we can assume why that is.
It's a battle for the crown.
It's a battle for the crown. In the Crisis Corner with me is co-founder of C3 Comics, Dave. What's up, man?
What's up?
Yeah, we're about to chop this up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a traditional tail of the tape, as if this was a boxing match. So we're gonna have Kong versus Zilla, tail of the tape. And we're gonna determine. We're both gonna have our determination of who would be the winner of this if it was as an actual fight. I mean, this is like WWE. This joint's rigged for real.
Wait a minute. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Okay, well, okay. All right, we get to this at the end, but I'll tell you our predictions. We'll say predictions.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so Kong versus Zilla. We're gonna go tail of the tape. We're gonna start off with height. What do we know about the height of these two beasts?
All right, Jose, I've done my research, and it appears that in this movie, the Godzilla versus Kong flick that's coming out, we have Godzilla standing at an astounding 394 feet versus Kong coming in at 335 feet.
Okay, now this is interesting because they have altered their traditional sizes. As we know, well, if you know, whatever. I go back with these guys.
Okay.
Individually. I've been watching these kids since I was like 10. You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen all the movies, but I've seen enough to know that if you went by Hollywood's past, Zilla could stomp on King Kong. He's not that. Proportionally, he's not as big. Not as big.
You don't even have to go that far back, Jose. In all honesty, during my research, buddy, I was able to uncover that in the MonsterVerse, this line of movies, in which this is the fourth one, in Kong, Skull Island, Kong only stood 104 feet versus Godzilla standing 393 feet in his last film. So it's rigged.
There's nothing we can do. There's nothing you can do. It's rigged. It's fixed. So they needed to have a fight. Okay. Maybe this is his Kong cousin. I don't know. I don't know. His big brother. I don't know. But let's say, all right. So we would say that the heights are relative, and a lot of this I'm taking from what we've seen in the trailers. The images that we got as our backdrops. These guys are relatively comparable height. Okay. So that's the first tale. So we can't really determine too much from that.
I mean, Kong has been eating his Wheaties. He has grown a little bit. He's had a little spurt. Don't hate on him.
Clearly. Yeah. Let's move on to weight/mass. When I say that, I mean we don't know the metric tons of these two beasts, but we can infer from the size of them and their basic shape who is the more massive of the two.
Well, I will say this, Jose. I do know. I've done a bit of research on this, and I was able to Godzilla likes to keep his weight secret, but he did weigh in at 90,000 metric tons. Last time we got a hold of it. So Godzilla he's a big boy.
And based on the look, I'm eyeballing this thing. Godzilla seems to be clearly more massive, and mass to me implies strength, the ability to move your weight around, and he's not. I wouldn't say he's particularly slow, so I would say he's got. That's gonna kind of segue into strength, I guess, but he seems to be the more massive of the two, which could be an advantage. Like if he did I don't know, if he came off the top ropes and hit him with a leg drop or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It'll hurt more, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta give him mass.
Well, I'll give you that. And we haven't gotten into strength and so forth, but I will point out, Jose, that essentially Kong is He's a great ape, the greatest of all apes.
Yeah.
And great apes, gorillas are essentially twice as strong as humans relative to their size. So he's packing a bit of a wallop. So Kong is going to have, some powerful knuckles. So keep that in mind.
Okay. Well, and since we're going into strength,
okay,
and I gotta say functional strength, because the ability to apply your strength to combat, i.e., a punch,
okay,
tossing somebody,
okay,
or strangling somebody, or something to that effect. That it's kind of complicated because Zilla is built. I mean, Kong has the build of like a person, so that you can see him throwing a punch, where Zilla is built like a reptile, and he doesn't really have. He would apply his strength more towards maybe ramming into you or swiping at you. He got talons, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, claw. Yeah.
He got claws, so he can scratch at it. But aside from running into him or he's just swinging his tail or something, I don't see where his strength would be. Raw strength would be that much of an advantage to him unless I don't see him grappling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a grappler.
So at this point, you're going to give the strength to Kong.
Functional strength, yeah.
Functional strength.
Because if it came into a punching contest for some weird reason, Zilla would lose because his arms are longer than they used to be. Because back in the day, like the movies, even if you go back to Matthew Broderick's Godzilla, although we're not really applying that, his arms I don't remember being that long. He doesn't have that much. He couldn't swat planes, you know what I mean?
Okay.
He didn't have to, but he couldn't. So in, I guess, close quarters, functional strength, I think would probably go to Kong.
All right. Well, I'm going to say, I think, even though I agree with you in so much that, the functionality of his arms and so forth allow him to enter into a more versatile form of combat if it's just straight up physical. I'm going to say I think Zilla's built like a tank, and I'm going to say that I think that ultimately he looks sturdy. So I'm going to give the strength to Zilla. I'm going to say I think he's packing some muscle.
And I'm going to tell you another where this doesn't really go into strength, but where they did him a favor, they shortened that neck.
Okay.
They shortened that neck and they gave him more spikes on the back.
Yeah.
As we get into some of these other
aspects
he would be in trouble. He would be in some trouble. But they shortened that neck. It does him some favors. Yeah, okay. So we split on that one. But okay. Now, after strength, this is where we come into a problem for Kong, reach. And I mean reach in the sense of ability to fight short to longer distance, intermediate distance. Okay. Atomic breath is going to be a problem. Because again, his tail helps. Because he can swing the tail around kind of, like a lizard, Although we'll get into maneuverability and agility too, but he can use his tail as a weapon. But the atomic breath, that's a problem. I mean, he can snipe that dude from a distance, and there won't be a whole lot that Kong can do from a distance, although he can throw things at you.
Are we on intangibles or we just on reach?
Reach, ability to fight short to longer distances in reach. If we say in reach, in close quarters, I would give it narrowly to Kong, unless he got hit by the tail.
I see. I'm about to say, we can't forget that Zilla got that tail.
See, so when it comes, they bring other aspects in it too, because he got the swing to get that tail around, and man,
I mean, Kong is swinging to get that fist out. I'm just saying,
He's facing you though.
I don't know, Jose. That tail, it adds a little reach. That tail got some reach.
I mean, look, he's a sitting duck in close quarters. Be honest, because I'm saying, being as massive as he is, I mean, if Kong decided to like box him or something, he can't move. Not quick enough to get any kind of. He just had to take it, and he's scaly beast. Maybe he could just take hits. But Kong, if he I'm getting into intangibles a little bit, but all I'm saying is atomic breath. I'm adding that into reach in terms of your ability to affect the opponent at distance.
If you do that, and I do believe that should go in intangibles, easy. But I'm going to tell you, if we add the atomic breath, then yes, I'm going to go ahead and give that one to Zilla. But I'm going to say, even though I'm factoring in the tail, I think for the tail of the tape, for me, I'm going to go ahead and give this one to Kong.
Okay.
I think that his arms reach just a little further, and I think that's going to come in handy when this fight goes down.
Okay. All right, so that got us to reach speed. Speed is interesting. Straight line speed. Again, and I hate to go outside of the box, but old school Matthew Broderick Godzilla could outpace like a Black Hawk on foot, which was ridiculous to be honest with you, but he was like fast, straight line speed. I have not seen on land too much to determine Zilla's speed.
Okay.
Kong, I can estimate as being fairly fast for his size.
Okay.
But that's a tricky one. I think I would give that to Kong, being that he has the smaller mass, and monkeys usually run pretty decent as opposed to.
We want to say ape. We're going to stay away from monkeys.
As opposed to like, I mean,
he has no tail.
True. Zilla would basically equate to what, like a what you call them, kimono dragon or something.
Yeah. I mean, they can be swift, but I think I'm gonna give speed. I think I agree with you. I'm gonna give this one to Kong as well. I think I'm going to say, I think, and I don't want to get into intangibles because I think when we start talking about that, this is gonna. The fight is going to be stacked one way in a lot of ways, but I'm going to say speed. I think I'm going to give that to Kong.
Okay, speed. Okay, agility. We just go ahead and get that to Kong.
Yeah. We'll give agility to Kong. I mean, he is an ape. We'll just go ahead and give it to Kong. He's pretty agile.
Now I'm gonna throw one in here that I didn't bring up before, but it just struck me on the head. Endurance. I'm giving that to Zilla, straight out. Beverly he took a nuke. He tanked the nuke. Yeah, I ain't got Kong tanking a nuke.
So, I think I'm gonna have to give it to Zilla as well.
Yeah, which is gonna present problems because even if Kong can like take him to the sweet science and just box his ears off,
he still has to be laying down something more powerful than a nuke.
He got to come up with some kind of
Yeah, okay. I'm with you.
And then also agility we giving the Kong.
Yeah, we get.
And this is a weird one. I don't even know why I came up with this skill. And when I'm saying skill, how can I articulate this as to say?
I mean, you just call it battle experience at this point. I mean, if you want to go ahead and articulate it, then we can I guess go down that road.
I say your ability to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Both of them are brawlers anyway, because they're monsters and they got to fight other monsters.
So what I'll say is, in this regard, it depends on how you want to look at it. So to my mind, we'll say in the MonsterVerse, Kong has, he was the protector of Skull Island.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately he was fighting skull crawlers on the regular. So ultimately I would say, if it comes down to who's been in more fights, then I'm going to say technically that we've seen, I'm going to say Kong has. So he has been fighting, and he fights kaiju level beings, even though, again, based on the Kong first movie depiction in the MonsterVerse,
Right.
his enemies are a lot smaller than what
True.
Godzilla been
True.
facing. So I'm going to say, based on the number of scraps that he's been in, Kong has a lot of experience in terms of fighting. Now, when you look at it, and we're talking about quality of opponent,
Yeah.
Zilla, he doesn't have quite as many. He's done 2 movies versus
Right. Right.
Kong's 1. The quality of opponents that Zilla's faced is far greater than
True.
what Kong has fought.
True.
So
True.
this is a tough one.
Yeah, because you're talking about what? Ghidra,
Yeah,
Rodan.
yeah,
He fought Martha, I guess would be it. No, Martha, they kind of teamed up.
yeah. Mothra
Uh,
teamed up with him. In that first movie, I guess. I mean, who was it?
let me see. He fought. So you're talking about, okay, that's 2000. Okay. King Ghidorah, Rodan, and Behemoth. Some of these guys, I don't even know what they look like. If I would have to see if to match them up with the monster. Uh,
Okay.
it's to me, it's almost like if you take a fighter who fights rarely, but fights, just straight up killers against a person who fights mid-level dudes every day. So I'm assuming that the way Kong was depicted in Skull Island, he's defending his title every day.
Every day.
Constantly around the clock, somebody's gunning for him.
Every day.
Whereas from what we've seen in Zilla, yeah, he's
on vacation.
Fought,
He come out. Yeah.
He fought. He's fighting monsters. Don't get me wrong. He's fighting A-level. Like, for instance, there's no way I see Kong beating King Ghidorah. I don't see it. I don't. I mean, the 3-headed Bama with stuff flying out of each mouth. The ant can fly. And beat Zilla twice in the same movie until he got that third win. That last win at the end. I don't know. But skill because like if you're beating jobbers, does that really mean you can fight?
I mean, are these jobbers? I mean, if you want to use like the Afro Samurai model, then Kong is number 2. You know what I'm saying? He fighting every day. He get that skill up. And not to say number 1 ain't bad, but I mean, Kong is doing it. I mean, these aren't jobbers. I mean, he's the survivor of his whole race. It was a pack of Kongs. Look, he's the baddest of the bad.
Put it like this. Even if you don't know nothing about monsters, kaiju, and so forth. When somebody say Rodan, you be like, oh, I heard that before, right? If somebody say King Ghidorah, you're like, oh, I don't know what that is, but I heard that before. And within the kaiju ranks,
okay,
the Cassidy he beat. There's no way he never heard of them members. You know what I'm saying?
Look, just you would call them jobbers.
I mean, you gotta have a name, dude. Now, in the lore of kaiju, his biggest opponent's been Zilla. Now we don't
want to bring in we don't want to bring in pre-MonsterVerse, because if we go pre-MonsterVerse, yeah, he did have his biggest opponent was Zilla, and he put Zilla down. But we don't want to bring that up. But yeah.
And then in Skull Island, he went life and death with one of them dudes, and just barely won. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
okay, but let's put it this way: the most experienced fighting on a day-to-day basis, you would give to Kong.
Okay, then yes.
And every once in a while, Zilla defends his title against. He's like a part-time wrestler. He's like I don't know, pick somebody. Cena. Yeah, he come up every once in a while and defend his title.
But when Cena come, when he come, not to say whatever. And I will admit, in the past, I may have had some Cena Nation hate. I've come to appreciate John Cena and what he does, and I enjoy, because he can take an ass whipping like nobody's business. So I'm
That's true.
much
That's true.
respect.
That's
Um,
true.
like you said, Kong is in it day in,
And
day
day
out.
out.
He's putting in work every day.
Yeah.
He is at the top of his game. So coming into this battle, is there going to be some rest on Zilla, or is Kong gonna come in ready to wreck?
So I would get at the call.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
So
Okay.
skill, we gonna say Kong got this.
Now we've
I
reached.
agree with you.
Okay. Intangibles.
Intangibles. This is when
Distinct,
things get nasty.
distinct advantages that either one of these guys have.
Okay.
My first intangible for Zilla would be looking at the trailers. At some point, they got knocked into the water and got into it. They got into it in the water. I don't see Kong walking away from a fight with Zilla in the water. I mean,
Oh
he moves like a fish in the water. It seems like,
yeah.
based on what we see.
So Zilla is amphibious. So amphibious. So that's a game changer in and of itself. So like you said, when it comes to, if it's an aquatic battle, then that one leans heavily to Godzilla.
Now, unless that was the last scene in the flick, I'm assuming the fight continued on to the land. So I'm curious to see how they actually pull that off. So that's one. Kong, I give him the fact that he can use tools.
Okay.
He can, and again, in the trailer, it seems like he fashioned some kind of a weapon and was coming down on my man with it.
He the Jackie Chan of Kaiju. So
Yeah.
he's
He can
picking up
use,
whatever's
yeah.
around. Yeah.
He can throw things at him. He can use something, the atomic breath. If he could find some material, I don't know, I have no idea what it would be, to shield himself from the atomic breath, he could maybe get around it. You know what I'm saying? He can battleship or something. I don't know. At the scale that they're at their scale, you talk about people that can knock over buildings. I don't know what material he could pick up that could actually be of use to him. I mean, like he can pick up something and shank the man with it.
I mean, but you want to factor in the fact that when that breath comes, I'm going to give agility hard to Kong. So I'm going to say that you can shoot a beam out your mouth, but you got to catch me, when you do it. So it's one of those situations. But I think that's a hardcore intangible, because even if we put some distance between them, Zilla still can be attacking. So I think that's a hardcore intangible.
That's true.
The atomic breath and the fact that if we end up in the water, it's advantage Zilla.
And another thing that I don't know for sure, does the atomic breath, does it function in the water?
I think it does. I think, that's just his, he's shooting that beam regardless of.
Yeah, that'd be a problem too, because if that's the case, he's dead. But don't go in the water. But I mean, he does apparently in the trailer. They do go in the water.
I mean, they do in the trailer. I'm gonna say for an intangible. I think in Kong's favor is, I honestly think it's just his attitude, his general disposition. Because I mean, he's like they said in the trailer, Kong bows to nobody, and ultimately, Kong he's a protector. He's very he has his domain, and he's combative as hell. So he's coming, and if you see him coming, he's coming direct. So he's just got an overall bad attitude, and I think that's an intangible that leans that skews in his favor greatly.
Might we say that he has the disposition of a conqueror?
I don't know where that might be coming from. But yes. Okay. He might have the disposition of a conqueror.
And you bring up an interesting point, is that historically, and I hate to go out of this monster verse, but he has been portrayed as the baby face, and Godzilla's been the heel in most of their history. Only four.
Okay.
So usually, Zilla's
Kong is the baby face, and Godzilla is the heel.
And usually the baby face wins.
And something tells me that that's probably what's going to be the case in this in this new flick, Godzilla versus Kong, coming March 31st, HBO Max and theaters.
Now here's the game changer, of course. Both creatures have, their camp of followers.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, Mecha Godzilla is going to be introduced in this movie. So
Okay.
common sense tells us that they're going to fight. Mega Godzilla is going to jump out. They're going to double team to take out Mega Godzilla. And I don't know if they're going to walk away friends, but they might just. Although Kong got to get that title. He got to get king because he can't just be walking around named Kong. So I don't know. Maybe they double team, take out Mega Godzilla. Godzilla be like, peace, man. You can take the king.
Well, outside of Mega Godzilla showing up, I will say that I have reached out to
he's scheduled to be in there.
Yeah. And I've reached out to cats in Zilla's camp. And speaking to them, they did say that. I mean, he did say that he felt like that first flick. He said that you cannot use that as a guidepost. So he will say he's admitted to me that he did the job for Kong, because he was asked to do. So he did say it was possibly scripted, and this new movie is more in line with a true unscripted battle. So the fix is not in, as far as I understand, from Zilla, and he's coming.
Yeah.
And he felt like he got that crown in the last flick when he put down Ghidorah. He's coming for that. He feels like he's the king. The kaiju did bow down. So
all right, predictions. What's your prediction on this?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Jose, and I'm gonna say yes, even though Kong is probably gonna be the baby face and Zilla's gonna be the heel. I'm going heel all the way, and I think Godzilla's gonna take this one. I think there are too many. When we did the tail of the tape, too many of those skewed to Zilla, and I think I'm now a believer.
Okay, I am going to say Kong because of agility, because of craftiness.
I ain't buying it.
And also because, well, first of all, I don't want to draw. I don't even want to think about a draw. But he hasn't got his king title yet. He can't just keep walking around named Kong. I mean, they made a point coming into this Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Kong. So clearly they're going to crown him king. And to do that, he's going to take out Godzilla. He's going to have to.
If that happens, then the fix is in. And no matter what Zilla told me or the information I got from his camp, he's doing a job. He's jobbing for this dude. And I can tell you, he's cheating us in the fandom.
Okay. All right, then you heard it here first. We're split. Okay. We got two camps.
And only one of us can be right.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm Campzilla.
Okay. And so on April the 1st, we're going to reconvene. And we're going to see who won. And somebody got to eat crow. And that's just going to be what it is.
And as Jose knows, I'm never wrong.
Okay. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to this. And of course, the Snyderverse joint, it's going to be a good month. March is going to be a pretty good month. I can't wait. But you heard it here first. That's the tail of the tape, Godzilla versus King Kong. I'm for Kong, and Dave's for Zilla. We see what happens. So let us know what you think. What's your impressions? Who do you think is going to walk away from this titanic battle of the century? Give us your comments, and we look forward to seeing the flick on May the 31st. Until then, March the 31st. Until then, we're out in the crisis corner. Stay loose.